fancy intro music. Yeah! Woohoo!
What should you get in the event store? Look, this is something that gets asked every time an event store comes out. And you know what? There's an obvious reason as to why. And there's no wrong answer here, but in today's video, I want to do a couple things. Actually, number one, I want to discuss the logic behind why I make some of the choices I do and recommendations that I do. And hopefully that logic is more important than the actual choices. Because look, I have no problem making these videos every time an event store comes out, but I hope more than anything, people are learning the strategies to make themselves better in Star Trek Fleet Command, because at the end of the day, that's my goal. And the second thing, we'll discuss the actual currency of it, because I do have a slight gripe, and I think today is a good day to cover that gripe. In fact, I'm gonna put the gripe on the screen right now. Here's the expected amount of event store currency at the time of making this video for pure free-to-plays. Now, this is not counting alliance leaderboards, solo leaderboards, etc. However, the current expectation based on us tracking the events so far this month is to hit 250,000 plus for free-to-play, which it should be pointed out is an improvement over what it was before. If you remember what it was the last time around, it was not good. It was significantly lower. So this feels and is better. And by better, I mean the last time we had an event store, free to play got about 170,000. This is an 80,000 increase, which by any stretch is an improvement. My issue really comes down to, and this is the gripe part of it, I want to get back to where we were. And when I say where we were, I mean where we were as a game. Just every player was getting significantly more loot just a year ago. And look, I hate to be the guy that's just constantly griping at Scopely. Sometimes I feel like they need to get griped at. And here are what the numbers are. And we've shown this before, but yes, this is improved. And hey, maybe the last week of this, they give extra, pushing us back into like the 300,000 range. But last year, there was not a single event store that dropped below 400,000 loot. So we're still 150 short just from what we were doing last year. And the needs of the players haven't changed. With Scopely continually saying, hey, you need to level up. Well, to do that, players need things from this game to level up. So Scopely, that's my gripe. I do appreciate the event store going up a little bit, matching kind of where we were at with Gorn Part 2, but it's still so little compared to what we need. And if you're going to continue to say, hey, we really want y'all to level up, which I have no problem with, you better give us the stuff to do it. So let's get into the logic of this video, what I recommend, and if you like it, go ahead and smash the like button, because I know you do. Number one, above anything, the logic I really want to stress to everybody is you want to unlock things that do not have regular sourcing. That's generally going to be paid items. So paid item number one that I'm really going to stress, because I know people have heard me talk about officers of forever, and that's not an untrue statement. Obviously, I still harp on officers a lot, but number one is this actual FC slot. Now, I picked this up in the last event store, but if you did not, I strongly encourage you to. I just showed you the overall currency free-to-play are expected to get. So clearly you can afford this, which is 180,000. If you do not have the Fleet Commander spot, I would recommend getting it. Even though Lorca coming out is the strongest Fleet Commander in the game, that doesn't mean you don't want to have Janeway, Seven, Locutus, Spock, Sloan, etc. You want to take advantage of as many as you can. So number one, if you do not have it and it is available to you, you absolutely want to get the FC slot. Why? Because this is a paid only slot. That is slot number 4, the paid one. There's 5. There are 2 that are pay only. This is number 4. And no, if you got this last time, you can't get it again because it will not work as slot number 5. But if you haven't, that's priority. And again, the logic is things that do not have regular sourcing or are locked behind a paywall completely. Now, that could, by logic, extend to some of these. For example, the Pylum Apex Barrier refit. But at the same time, I'm not really going to be big on encouraging these. One, I feel like the cost in terms of the event store cost or what it takes to unlock it is quite high. And what you're getting isn't really that valuable unless you just like it as a cosmetic. So the logic also has to have a little bit of like an addendum down there to say, has to be valuable. So now we get into the, okay, well, what is valuable? Again, if you like this, go after it. I mean, I want it because it looks great, but doesn't really provide much in the game because Apex Barrier already has exploded to where, for example, there's a PvP lineup you can run where almost any player can get tens of thousands of Apex. Now, I don't expect all those players or all the players that have that crew, something like, you know, Mira Ezri, Mira Uhura, who's coming out, etc., and bump up those Apex numbers. And that's a PvP loadout, whereas this is just a hostile version. But I do think it's worth noting and something to keep in mind that Apex, these small numbers, 500 and stuff, really don't do it much anymore because, as always happens, whether it be isolytic damage, mitigation, whatever, new things come out, they get abused is not the right word, but they get pushed a lot. So, of course, inflating those numbers is the only way to make things better. A lot of these don't have immediate value. But again, sticking to the theme, let's go back and hit fleet commanders. One thing that you do have sourcing for now, and if you notice, I'm missing some options that you might have. That's only because I've unlocked Locutus, I've unlocked the FC slot, but there's not many ways to get Janeway. And Janeway does have free-to-play sourcing right now via the Vindicator, a brand new ship that you can't source until November 2024. Anyway, so I would say that Janeway still has value here, especially if you're a player in the 30s or 40s who's unlocking multiple slots. You've got your CC building up to level 40. That opens a new spot for fleet commanders. You got the paid option here. That opens a third slot for fleet commanders. Or maybe you've even made it to Syndicate 40, which opens up another slot, and you've got 4 spots for fleet commanders. And in that case, I think Janeway has good value here in terms of what she does. Because I remember really preaching on this for a long time, officers are forever, and I'm not, abandoning that viewpoint, but I do want to point out that fleet commanders are essentially just really big officers with research trees connected to them. So looking at them is quite valuable. And if you look at what she provides, maybe the tactician tree isn't really your cup of tea, but because obviously coffee is what she would prefer. But the mitigation against Q trials can be nice. I don't really feel that's needed, but can be nice as you're trying to push up your Q's trials. As you can see on the tactician side of things, you get over here, again, more Q trials, not bad at all. Just probably not what everybody gets as excited about, but I still think there's value here, including the cost efficiency for removing forbidden tech. That can be a pain point. If you've tried to use those and you run out of those rods, you will notice that being a problem. Warp speed for all ships, I do think is valuable. These are always on. That's good. You look at the armor piercing versus armadas. Again, this is an always on that maxes out at 350. More is more, and I do think there's value there. Research speed applies to everybody. That's valuable. Mining rate, even me, who doesn't care about that, acknowledges that that is valuable to some people. Cosmic particles, this is another big one for when you're going into the 50s. Having cheapness on your cosmic particles can be very, very good. And again, just more and more things that you see here, repair efficiency. So I think Admiral Janeway is a valuable pickup here. So slot, Janeway, those are good. You also have a couple of unique skins for ships that only appear in either the pay store or the ship refits here in the event store. And those are things that you want to consider when you're going through your process. It just comes down to what's good for you. For me, example, Amalgam refit is actually a good choice for me as a player to go after. It's a little pricey, as you can see down there, but it is valuable to me versus simply buying it. Backing on out, I don't want to pretend like officers aren't valuable because I feel like I'm worried I'm departing from my natural things. Let me bring this up. Going after Tol Ra, I think is very good. Going after Toli, if you did not get him in last month, is very good. Him being here, he's not hard to unlock in terms of overall cost. You're looking at his unlock cost being under 80,000. That's not bad. And from tier 1, giving you the synergy for something like Tol Ra is useful. Or even if you just wanted the increased base warp speed, that's useful. So again, I definitely don't want to make it seem like I'm ignoring the officers that are good here. You got Tol Ra, who I personally believe is one of the better Armada officers that's come out. I did say this, and I haven't left this statement. You don't really need better Armada officers because they exist elsewhere. But at the same time, if you can get a really good Armada officer, why not get them? And that's what you get with Tol Ra, a good Armada officer. There's value in that for all players. And I would really stress for lower levels, if you can get that, that's going to make your Armada experience better. As far as Jason Nesmith goes, I'm not the biggest on Nesmith. I don't really feel like he's needed. But again, if you are close to unlocking him, throw some currency that way. You are probably going to be limited. Make sure you math it out. It's one of the reasons I always talk about saving your currency, saving your choices till the end to see what you can actually unlock. Do you want to go after Dane, which is, by the way, the impulse speed boost down below? You talk about what can help you be better in the PvP arenas that just came out. Bingo bango right there. Having that as a below deck ability can help you out. And we talk about strategies for lower level players to beat higher levels. That's one of them. Being able to outrun is sometimes more valuable than being able to outgun, especially in a timed event like PvP arenas. So there you go. there are some officers I think are valuable. Not that I'm trying to leave out Laliari, I just don't feel like as valuable. If you are really into waves with your alliance, there you go. There is an argument to be made for the cooldown of the NSEA Protector's ability because of the same reason I just talked about with Dane, using it in the PvP arena. But again, it's gonna be very, very specific people who can take advantage of that, but there is value to that as well. So officers big for me, fleet commander's really big for me, and if you have any currency left over, specialty ships are also primo priority. So if you don't have specialty ships, you're trying to speed up your acquisition of a Monavine, of a Mantis, of a Talios, whatever, get it in the event store. Those are my top 3 things: the fleet commander tab, the officers tab, and then this specialty ships tab. I don't really think that there's a ton of like high value new items, but I do think there are some high value items I really want y'all to focus on. That would be my list. But again, my logic is you're going after things that are not readily sourced, that generally are paywalled. Those are the things that are going to benefit you the most in Star Trek Fleet Command. And if you have recommendations, I want you to drop them down below. Like, let me know or contact me on Discord. But the general principle you want to adhere to is, how can I improve my account? Specifically things that typically are locked behind a paywall. Officers are generally one of those, especially early sourcing. You also have that same problem when it comes to PvP items and ship refits, etc. But those are my top things: the FC slot, the fleet commanders you don't have, especially something like Janeway, those officers, and then specialty ships. But if you have any other comments, questions, concerns, etc., well, drop them down below. Let me know what you're going after. Live long and plunder. Stay safe out there. Deuces, that's me. Catch you on the next video. And as always, appreciate you.
An even better outro than the intro. For the Empire and glory to your house.